Okay, we're back, and I have Amanda Lyberg here. Amanda, how are you?
I'm awesome, man. How are you? Thanks so much for doing all this.
No problem. It's been quite a day, pretty heavy day.
Yeah,
Josh's Josh's last interview just you know fucks everybody up a little bit, but I
dude.
think it was necessary.
Yeah. No, I caught that. That was insane. And he's right, though. There's so many people that don't understand what's happening in other parts of the world. So for him to be able to shed light was like heavy but necessary.
Yeah, I thought I just felt like we had to do it because it's a global issue. It's not just, boxed into America, and I'm sure, rallying global resources is a path to a solution. So it was good to hear. Thank you for coming on. If you don't know who Amanda is, she sings for Eva Under Fire and also is a clinical psychologist. And as cool as your band is, it's mainly what I want to talk about today because we have tremendous communication breakdowns in America right now, and you are professional at communicating with people and working through problems and solutions. So you are also a woman and a person of color and are maybe the most qualified person that could exist on the planet to speak on issues right now. So I am very happy to have you here. And
Woo! No pressure.
I don't even know where to start because, like I said, I'm a fucking guy who makes records for a living and don't know what I'm doing here. So I would like, if it's okay with you, could you please address me and everybody and talk to me about what potentially, what our problem is with communication in America right now that's creating more division?
Yeah. No, God. Where do I start? So first of all, I want to say clarity is super important. So I've worn my little shirt here at my rock shirt. Attitude is everything, and that's probably the biggest. The biggest thing is that so many people want to be heard. They want to be heard. They want to be heard. They want to be heard, but nobody wants to listen. And I think that is always. I mean, now with the advent of like social media and everything is so very personal, and it's very there's a breakdown with community. Nobody wants to come together as much anymore, which I love rock music for, because this is an awesome platform. You got a bunch of rockers on this channel talking all day long about current events within a genre that is built to break down barriers. We've always been a people to like speak out and speak up, and I think this is an amazing space to be able to do that. Systemic racism is real. I want that to be very clear, and I think what a part of the problem is that narrative comes out there, and then everybody kind of picks it apart and takes it into such a personal space. And then they start kind of taking things out of context and saying, well, this person had this experience and this person doesn't experience it that way. And then this other person over here had such a different experience. All of those things are valid, but we're missing a greater, bigger point, And I think that's where a lot of people, I love the title of this, We Can Do Better. We can do better. We can collectively listen better. And we can also stop to consider what we say before we say it, because the way that we say it matters. I think when you say things like racism is real or systemic racism is real, even this attitude is everything, what does that mean? And you're probably going to get different answers from a lot of different people when you speak to them, but those answers are what we need to be looking for. And it's conversations like this and platforms like this that we're able to sort of say, all right, let's break down these huge global issues, these large scale problems, and start thinking about what my role is in that and what your role is in that, and how we sort of link up and say, okay, somebody's clearly hurting, or they wouldn't be shouting so loud. How can we help this person, this group of people, this city, this town, my friend, whatever that looks like? How can I help this person that's hurting feel like they're getting their needs met? And that's what we really need to be focusing on. I mean, Josh was wonderful talking about Indigenous Australia. And I think in a global a global human way. I'm not from Australia. I have no idea what that looks like. But what he broke that down for what, for all of us that were listening about what's happening there. Now I get it. And I become automatically able to relate it to something else maybe I've experienced here. I've got my little my psychologist couch in the background here, sitting on my own couch trying to figure out what this world looks like right now.
Yeah, I mean,
you were saying, communication's huge.
Yes, I've been listening to a lot of people this week and hearing different perspectives and agreeing and disagreeing. I mean, I haven't agreed with everything that everyone's said to me in this past week and all the messages I've read and stuff, but I did my best to listen to everyone, understand the perspective, understand the intention of where it comes from, try to find common ground, try to work through, our disagreements like civilly and not resort to just, instantaneously reacting with rage and stuff. But, I'm still looking at a larger issue of a country that's like almost split in half over semantics of a Black Lives Matter. Oh, but no, it's not. It's all lives matter. I mean, something as silly as that is literally causing half a country to hate the other half of the country. And it's like, where is step one for, America and for other countries in the world to just like, okay, can we just open up that conversation to all of these all lives matter people? How do you even just get through what the Black Lives Matter movement really is about to someone who's so shut off and who's so combative immediately when we start talking about these issues?
Sure. I think anybody is able to make something an argument. But what I challenge people to do is to say something anyway and try to really just, I think a big problem is the loudest people right now are the ones that are screaming back and forth. And that's not a person that you can have conversations with, right? So the rest of us that don't want to get involved with that, they're like, you know what? It doesn't matter what I say. I'm not even going to bother. I'm not going to comment. I can't get above the bullshit. So I'm not even going to, right? So it's this thing where the reasonable people feel like they can't even be heard. So what I would challenge people in that sense to do is, you might not say it right. You might not understand completely. You might not even really kind of know where to come to the table at. I am a Mexican American third generation here, right? So like some circles, I'm white because I don't speak fluent Spanish. Other circles, I'm not white because I'm clearly very much more tan than I, than some of my friends. So for me, but I am not Black. And so for me to approach my Black friends or my Black community or say that Black Lives Matter or talk about anything Black, that has been such a touchy subject for so long, even coming from like a suburb of Detroit, which huge Black community, right? It's like already I'm on eggshells, but that doesn't allow us to have a conversation. You should challenge yourself to push past those eggshells and just ask questions. And if somebody comes to you combative and that's their immediate response, then that's not the person you have that conversation with. Try to go clarify with somebody else. Find someone who's willing to talk, because we can't be silent. And we can't also let the only people who are not silent be the extremists, right? We have to have a space where we can feel confident enough to ask questions and understand that, I may be ignorant to a lot of people's perspective on this issue. And I'm sure that you've accepted that same fact, but that doesn't mean that we're not here talking about it.
Absolutely. And I think I was definitely met with uncomfortable conversations this week. And there were people who I reached out to who, said, hey, can I talk to you about this? Can I ask you some advice? Who were immediately, understanding, helpful, saw my intention. And there were people that were combative immediately. And I did focus my energy onto the people who kind of understood my intention. And, my whole approach this time was to say I'm not an expert in what's going on right now, but I have the ability to create a platform for people who might be more qualified. And
well, exactly. what you're example setting right now is huge. It's massive. And I so appreciate, because you just did exactly what I was hoping that others would do, is say, look, this is going to be really uncomfortable for me. I don't know what's going to happen, but I can say something. I can start a conversation. It's what you did here. It's amazing.
Well, I appreciate that. This isn't about me. So I do want to talk a little more about, the communication issues that I think we're having in America. What else okay, here I am. I'm this guy. I've had these conversations. I've done this event. Some of this is going to subside, naturally. I think people get fired up instantaneously about causes, and everyone's initial reaction is to support it, and then people return to normal lives and things. And I'm looking for long-term solutions, and I think communication is going to factor in long-term to keep this conversation going, to keep people involved and active in supporting this movement, and I don't know. I don't really have answers. I was like, we'll donate to charities. I mean, because charities do this for a living all the time. And in a year, they're still going to be fighting these battles, and it was my only solution. It was like, we will give money to experts because that's how some positive change can happen long-term. What else can happen long-term? Like, what is, out of everything you're seeing right now with this climate, with how polarized people are, not related to me or even this movement, but just in general, what would enact positive change the most effectively?
I believe the answer, as honestly, as hippie as it sounds, everybody needs some soul searching to find out who they are and where they are in this whole mess, in this whole world, right? Right when you started this chat, you were talking to AJ from Fire from the Gods. And I really loved his perspective about, people are so polarized and so pulled in different directions now, because I really think they need to understand themselves more, what we believe more, challenge yourself more, to learn more and do more and have different friends and speak to other people. And if you're not a confident person, or you're not comfortable with yourself, or you are not willing to challenge these boundaries because you're unsure, then you put yourself in this like boxed space where then the conversations can't happen. Then you can't learn. Then you won't activate and do anything differently. You won't speak to other people about it. It truly does start within yourself, which is what I loved about what his position was. I feel like that's where mental health comes in. I feel like these police officers that are so militarized and so, they're expected to perform in a professional way and in a humanitarian way, when they are faced with seeing the worst of humankind all day. And there's no access to debriefing. I think that they need more of some kind of evaluation to make sure that these people that we're letting out onto the streets and we're giving them guns and weapons, that they are in a healthy space, that they themselves are cared for in that way, and that they don't see everyone as an enemy, right? Because I'm not military, but if I was dropped off in a combat zone and that's all I knew for, 3 or 4 tours and then came back home, veterans from combat zones are expected to do the same thing here. They just drop them off and expect them to live civilian life. And it's like, do you know what you're doing? Do you know what you asked them to do over there in combat zones? This is crazy. You can't just anticipate that people are assumed that they're okay. Also, when you have been victimized and it's a perpetual issue, then you develop a certain psyche also, because it's repeated and it's chronic in that way, that you have been victim of sexism, racism, for all my people in the LGBT community, these are people who are very familiar with oppression. And so if you've already had so much to overcome, it's going to be difficult for you to give someone the benefit of the doubt one day and think that, oh, well, that comment they made isn't about my skin color. That comment that they made isn't because I'm a woman. You know, I mean, I was so grateful to be part of this, because even like you said, you brought me on and you're like, you're a girl. That's like different than all the other people that we've been able to talk to. I exist in a world that is very much male dominated. And while I understand that, I don't see that as a detriment. I see that as I have something to bring to the table. And I think that if we were able to check in better with ourselves and with each other and have real, meaningful conversations, that this would help us in the long run, so that more human beings on a massive scale would truly be okay with people of other color, with people of other sexes, with people of other ideals, with people of other identities. It doesn't, at that point, we drop down the barrier of, well, I don't know what I'm going to say and I don't know how it's going to be taken, so I'm just not going to say anything. That's not the way to go.
I mean, man, there's so much to respond to there. I mean,
I get on my soapbox. I can't help it.
No, it was good. I honestly, I wanted you to, and I think a lot of that, there's a lot to process, but I do really appreciate you coming on here and sharing that. Is there anything else that you want to say to this community? I'll give you the platform now. If you think we missed anything, any other suggestions or advice that you can give to people with regards to communication?
People would, the question that I had, and I hope that people can maybe discuss this and give me their feedback too, is, there is systems in place that unfortunately other people are victimized by the system, right? Government officials, politicians, the police as a whole, what I'd like to further discuss is actualizing change in a very personal way when we have these kinds of talks is one thing, but I want that to also spew onto the broader scale of, this also means that as an individual, I'm okay now, so then I go become a politician, and I don't want there to be lobbyists that like can just derail my okayness, so to speak, right? That, people can be bought, people can be changed. There's a lot of, right? So I just want to, I know that money is a factor, and I'm not familiar with all of the cogs in the system, but I challenge people to also think, now that I can better communicate, how can I use that to facilitate change at a higher level also, right? Let's brainstorm that and have that be the next thing.
Well, I mean, extremely well articulated, and thank you again for coming on here and talking a little bit about this. I'm going to rewatch yours a couple of times because I think it's a lot of valuable stuff. I'm working on being better at communicating, and this was valuable to me. And I'm sure right now with the climate of the world that everybody could use a little bit of this advice. So Amanda, I want to thank you again. And I really appreciate you being a part of this event.
Absolutely, man. Thanks so much for having me. And also, it's really cool, just as a side, music is one of those communication channels. And so I love rockers for this reason, because they are all so intense that I feel like that is the raw emotion that we need. So just as much energy as you bring when you're standing in a rock show with your fists in the air, that's what we need here, right? So we should think on that and keep this conversation open. I appreciate
Absolutely.
you. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Amanda.
All right. Take care, guys.
Take care. Amanda Lyberg, thank you for coming on. Okay, that's it for me. That was the whole day. Quite a lot to take in. I didn't prepare any closing thing today because I think I'll speak on, what I think I've learned from all this tomorrow when we're done. But if everyone who's watching today, I want to thank you for watching, participating, commenting, supporting all these artists who deserve it, and obviously donating money. That raffle is going to stay up. It'll be up tonight through tomorrow. I think Tuesday at midnight is going to be the deadline, it looks like. So please get those donations in. Thank you very much for spending some time with us today. And yeah, I'll be right back here at 12 o'clock tomorrow. We got a full lineup tomorrow of really awesome guests. And I know some of the topics we're going to get into tomorrow are going to be equally as challenging, but I'm looking forward to working through them. I thought I was going to hate this. I kind of, it's stressful, but it's cool. I'm glad we did this. And thank you to all my friends, guest speakers, new friends who are a part of this event today. So yeah, I'm around. I'll be on the socials tonight catching up. So feel free to send me a message if there's anything you think we should try to include or talk about tomorrow. I'll be happy to listen, and yeah, donate away. Thank you, music community. I will see you tomorrow at noon.